Yo, 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 yo. What's poppin', my peoples? Got another episode of Savage Shaman Sessions. Tune in. What up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome to Savage Shaman Sessions. We are here with another episode for my good people. Today's episode is very, very deep. We are talking about racism and spirituality. And it's a crazy topic. It's a topic that I don't think too many people talk about. But we're gonna talk about it today. Typing a couple things. But yeah, I I came across this well, I said I came across the subject. I led the subject. But, this subject came across my mind. I did a lot of religious studies in college and had some crazy spiritual leaders. That I was blessed to be around. And that was a oh my goodness, that was a very dope time in my life because I used to work in Black Studies at Cleveland State University, and it was basically like a community hub. Like all the thinkers of the community would come in and basically debate certain subjects, teach on certain subjects. Just some good conversations going on, and you can literally it would be so many conversations you could literally jump from spot to spot, just soaking up, knowledge. Man, it's definitely an amazing time in my life, man. And we're trying to kind of build that type of environment again. You know, Savage Shaman Sessions. It's more about it's more than just this show, because we trying to do some powerful things, some powerful spiritual things. We're trying to grab some spiritual leaders in the community, together to, create, do some powerful stuff. Simple as that. But on to the topic, we talking about racism and spirituality. Now, spirituality was an important part in everyday life in Africa, you know, and just think about it. There's more cultures in Africa than any other continent, as far as the diversity of people, you know, like I'm gonna use the term black, while we talking, like you might hear me say black or, African or, like these different terms, but I try to use these to generalize, but in reality, there's more cultures in Africa and, than there was anywhere. America was similar, there was many cultures here, and a lot of these cultures were, copper color, dark color, people you will all kind of consider now as black. My grandmother, I remember seeing pictures of her in like full indigenous, uniform, like her mother, it just like I like there's so many other people that got like these old pictures of their grandparents, you know, uh, dressed in, ritual robe, and such a deep, it's such a deep thing to that because I believe Africa and America has always been linked, always like literally like the same cultures, like the people they call the Mayans and the Aztecs and the Olmecs. These were the same people in Western Africa. They had the same ceremonies, literally the same dress. The language was just different, and a lot of the language was similar. People don't understand that, like most of the language in the world is in certain groups. that evolved from the basic languages. And a lot, like, think of Spanish. Like, Spanish sounds like a lot of different languages. It sounds very similar to French. You know, it just, man, and there's so many different forms of Spanish, and it's just this language thing. But language shows that we're connected. Uh, cuisine, like, it's just so many different words. It's like that are the same word in different cultures that let you know we have a base somewhere. And Africa and America was like some of the most diverse places. And in these places, spirituality played a very important part of everyday life. Whether it was the commoners or whether it was the people in power, the leaders. There was always some type of religious or ritual signage, you know, um, some type of repetitive rituals that people did to commune with the ancestors, to talk with the ancestors, to talk with nature, to talk with God. This was just everyday life in Africa and America. It was stolen by colonization. The colonists, the Europeans, back in the day, they had a conference, Berlin Conference. It was Berlin Conference wasn't the only conference. I just want to make that clear. It was a series of conferences that led up to that conference, and there was conferences after that. But the gist of it with the Berlin Conference is all these European powers came together, and they decided that they were going to split Africa up, and many other places around the world. They were going to split this territory up and basically committing genocide on these people. It's basically any means necessary they get in this land. This land has every element you can think of. Like, they're like, we're taking this land. So they came in, killed people, lied to people, schemed people, did any way to get into Africa. And it took them a long time to like get into Africa because Africa was a powerful place, but they used different techniques and different technology to get in and take over. And a lot of people in a lot of these African nations, they didn't. A lot of these people didn't believe in war. These people were farmers. A lot of these people were farmers, people of peace. These were, like I say, spirituality played a big part. A lot of these people were like very religious people, on some spread love type, vibe and high, the stuff we talk about now. You can find that stuff chiseled in the walls in Africa, from ancient cultures. And we're just getting hip to it because we found a way to communicate with each other with electronically and all this and get more information. That people are getting back in tune with some of the old ways and finding the value in it. But basically, during the early 16th century, Europeans and Africans began to trade. I don't know if you know anything about the Silk Road. It was this big trade route where all these different peoples, all these different nations would trade with each other. It was different like spots like that, and these Europeans, they took pride in their paleness. This was a signage of beauty, of pureness. Their paleness. So some of them would like use chemicals and stuff to like even make themselves even paler. But when paleness is your, as you would say, kind of religious ritual sign of beauty, then darkness becomes your sign of ugliness. So they had this superiority complex that, because they're black and because they're darker skin, that means they're the opposite of us, which we're pure, we're smart, intelligent, civilized. We're, man, it just, and they gave all the opposite aspects into the Africans, that they were uncivilized, they were basically dumb, they didn't have souls, they were literally part of the fauna, and fauna is like what you call the animals and the plants of the field, you know, and that's basically what the Africans were became considered as. Before this, like the Africans, or let's get it correct, like the let's generalize it to the black people or the people that we consider Africans and some of the people that were over here in the Americas with that same culture. They pretty much ruled the world. You know, no matter where you dig, you find their kingdoms. You find evidence of their power, their greatness. No matter where you go, you can go to Europe and find signs of like Africans, or what we call Africans, what we call black people. Um, if you go to the stories of the Moors, or the Moors teaching, the Germanic people of the North how to be civilized, how to build these buildings, gave them all this knowledge, and it eventually kind of turned against them, and they used it against the Moors and kind of basically destroyed the Moor kingdom. It's if I say this is a deep subject, man. It's kind of a hard subject because it's not about like riling up anybody, but this is real life. It's real life. Peace, 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 Mr. Better. Peace and blessings to you. Yeah, we're here talking about this tough topic. Racism and spirituality. And these Europeans, they basically they clung on to these things that made them feel better than other cultures. This is something that this was like a movement that was created, and it kind of spread out different ways. And these Europeans, they took pride in these certain things, and they would pretty much go and invade places and take like their stuff. Like for the French, it was the arts. They took this high pride in their arts, and their beauty, their perfumes and smells, and their so-called elegance. For Great Britain, it was like their treasures, and it wasn't even really their treasures because like nothing really grows in Europe, or Great Britain, so they had to expand out in order for it to survive. Like, so they would just go and invade other places, take their riches, and they took pride in their military and their ability to go take whatever they want. You can still see signs of that over here in America, like with certain with some of our people. They just had the superiority complex. For Germany, it was their strength, their military. Like that's where you get like the Vikings and the invaders of back in the day. They were pretty much like a very highly war bound people, and they basically created like that was the society. It was war bound to where most of the other parts in the world, like of course they were like little battles, but I don't want to say it was like world peace, but it was probably the closest thing to world peace because a lot of these people, they were isolated into different parts of the world. It was more isolation, and it was more being in tune with nature, more about survival, more about eating, finding berries, about gathering together to raise your chances of surviving, and that's where a lot of these people. Well, that's how a lot of these people survived and became these big cultures. Kush, Kemet, Egypt, the Middle East, so-called Middle Eastern kingdoms. There ain't no such thing as Middle East. That's Northern Africa. But like all these different kingdoms of the world, the Mayas, the Aztecs, all of this, they kind of came to the similar. They kind of had like similar, rituals. So that's something we got to pay attention to. All these faith systems, they were more nature based, more speaking to the ancestors, and then came along Christianity, and just a pre-warning, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not coming to like bash any religion, but we talking history, we talking racism and spirituality, because if you go back to it, all major religions that we practice now came from black people, came from the Africans, the Americans, they came from people of color, like all made Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, all these big major religions, they came from people of color from all over the world. Not saying that these are the same people, like I said, people of color were the most diverse set of people. Like literally, like Germanic people are a section of these people, but they were a section that mentally took themselves away from the greater crowd and created race, created what we call race. And they did this, like I say, they clung on to things that made them feel better. So they created this concept of race that, basically the lighter you were, the more superior you were. And the darker you were, the less civilized you were. You were a savage, That's sort of why, I took the name Savage, like, because the people they were calling savages were like the greatest people on the, in history. Like, I'm like, okay, I'll take that name. But like this was a Christianity basically was it was some northern Africans, basically like Egypt, all that area and all that, what we call the Middle East now. These Africans, they traveled north and they disagreed with, like, the nature religions of Africa. They broke away from the nature religions, and it became more about a deity, a centrified deity, which, what I'm saying, became known as Jehovah, or as Christians, they believe in the Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. But this was a philosophy that was built upon African beliefs, and these people went up north and they spread a more customized, their customized version of these beliefs, which they kind of, these people were some war-bound people. This was like, when you talk about wars, huge wars, this kind of goes back to where, like, some huge wars were like starting, and like these big old wars all over the world with thousands and thousands of people were getting killed. Like, these people rose up, and anybody they came across, they basically killed. And I'm not just saying that, like, read your Bible if you think I'm just making that up. Literally, like, if you read the Old Testament, it's a story of them going up north and killing everybody in their path and spreading, what I'm saying, that their knowledge to, whomever would convert or whoever they would have as their slaves. I'm not making that up. Like, that's written clearly in your Bible. It's not even hidden in the Bible. It's literally, they escaped from Egypt. The story of Moses and let my people go. They took all the gold from the Egyptians and, like, basically like slaughtered their livestock and basically left the Egyptians in all these bad conditions and went north. They said they chased them. They succeeded. They went more north, killed everybody in the land. You get your stories of the great kings of the Bible and all that. All of those stories are them going up north and killing everybody on the land. And, praying to God that them being with God, they are the chosen people. And this led to, like, that's a heavy view of yourself. Like, and if you're not spiritually balanced, and you believe you're the chosen people, you can be a dangerous person. But this also gave the view of Africans as heathens, and anybody else who didn't have this belief from this war-bound people. They were some powerful people. Everybody know the story of Jericho. They walked around the walls, and the walls came down. They went in and killed everybody. Like, that was the story. They went and killed everybody up north and called everybody heathens. And as it went more north, it started getting to, like, the Germanic people, the mixture of the Germanic people, the Romans, and all this. And that's where you get the New Testament. And with the New Testament, when the Germanic people took upon these views as the chosen people, they used it to kill everybody in their path and to convert everybody in their path. If you didn't convert, you were dead. If you, and then they had these councils. They had these councils, Council of Nicaea, Council of Constantinople, all this stuff, to unify the books that they believed in, and kind of anything that kind of went against that belief system, they kind of threw to the side. And they call that the Gnostic Gospels. Some of them Gnostic Gospels got some stuff in there, but they just had this view, and they, went warbound, killing everybody in their path. It became, and it started to become what we know as colonialization. Long story short, like we can go on about that for hours and hours and hours. You know what I'm saying? Like it's man, right? It's so bad. Say Europeans bullied us into being scared of our own shadow. Meanwhile, they use our shadows, right? Like literally, it became a thing of light and dark. Even in the stories of the Bible, you know what I'm saying? It started going to more like it's all about being in the light, seeing light as pureness. But you go before that, people found power in darkness. You go into like the spirit walks, the Jaguar warrior. They honored the darkness. They believe the Jaguar spirit gave them night vision, and they would literally go out. They would meditate and like take these psychedelics and all this, and would go out in the forest and hunt, and just like they would. It's even stories of them like predicting that they're gonna get this and being able to talk to the animals, and it's just craziness, man. All right. Yeah, that's another thing. We attack each other for original thoughts, and that comes back to what we're talking about. It goes back to the racism and spiritualism, and spirituality, because they had to separate people, and Christianity became like the lifeboat. You know what I'm saying? It became the lifeboat for people, because it was like, okay, either I convert to Christianity, or I'm pretty much dead, or I won't be able to get into the house. We talking the slave days, the physically enslaved days. Shoot, you feel how hot it is out here? Could you imagine like back in the day, Louisiana, all that, you're in a swamp and stuff with gators and all that. You still had to pick stuff, and you had to escape through all of this crap. It just, man, it was horrible, man. Like it was like, okay, I either got to go fight these these gators and all this to escape. I got to fight, a whole nation of people trying to kill me, or I can go to church, and I go to church, I'm accepted. And, if I go to church, I have to condemn my own people. I have to condemn my father that still believes in African spirituality. I have to condemn my grandmother that believes in voodoo. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just, that's what they did to us, and we taught it over the years, because we it got to the point where we couldn't trust each other. Like we were giving each other up to master, or in the name of the so-called greater good, which was getting somebody saved. And I don't mean to make this like so focused on Christianity, but Christianity is the biggest influence in Black life and racism. It just is what it is. Christianity is the biggest influence in racism across the world in history. And some of the other religions are very close behind, if we just keep it real, even like Islam has created like some crazy stuff. Like, but it's like, I also say there's good points in religion, what I'm saying? There's good knowledge in there that you can dig out and do whatever, but you have to be careful of, reading up that you're a chosen person or chosen people, and you ain't spiritually, balanced, because you're going to become a bully. You literally will become a bully. You know. So yeah. Let's get back to the story. That's just a little spiel. Um, man, and like Europeans, they were good at getting technology. They were very technology based, and this technology was with weapons. They were war bound people. So when they came with all these weapons, it was pretty much over for the spiritual people, the people doing spiritual battles, because it's like, okay, I'm trying to battle you spiritually, but you shooting guns at me, or it's like, or you burning down my village, coming with a raid, doing raids and all this in the middle of the night, stuff like that. Is when you have like peaceful, people of nature, it's like they can't defend against that. It's like they killed African spirituality, American spirituality, you know, man. And the thing is, like Europe, like I said, it there was nothing really what, like, there that they can create wealth with. So they had to go out and get it like from other people, which is understood. But it's like, when you kill people for it and do all of that, like that's just horrible, man. And they basically, like, once they enslaved the Africans, they brought them to their colonies and everything. And well, they made their colonies in Africa, but like they would enslave the people. And because they knew that spirituality had so much power for people to rise, like, because through spirituality, like, people don't care about dying. like kill me. You know what I'm saying? I'm good with the spirit world. Like, I don't fear you. Like, so they had to get the spirituality out of them. So they separated them from their religions, that separated them from their rituals, from their faith. And it became illegal. Like, any practice of this, and you would be killed. And they would do this in front of your people, so that people knew, like, dag, if I do this in front of them, I'm gonna die. So now you got a choice to make. So people will have to practice their religion in secret, which they still did. That which gratefully they still did, because it kept many of the rituals and beliefs to this day. And the thing is, fast forward to America, fast forward to the creation of America, because no, we can't forget Hitler. We can't forget Hitler. That goes with the remember the conferences we were talking about that led to the rise of Hitler. Germany became the most powerful out of the European powers, and he literally started taking over the world, like on some Alexander the Great shit. And, you know what I'm saying? I'm taking over everything, and it's all about to be about the master race. And he pretty much succeeded. But then came like the American powers, the U.S., the allies, the U.S., Europe, and all these different countries. They gathered up, and it was like, okay, we're about to knock down Hitler and the Nazis, which they did. Only problem is they took their technology and they took their knowledge and they took their ways and they used it against their own people. Propaganda. Germany was the masters of propaganda, and literally the U.S. took their books on it and used it to make, like, Hollywood. You know what I'm saying? To make the movies, TV. Like, that's literally what they did. That's a German technology. We got TV after they, like, destroyed Germany and took the TV technology and brought it here. And then, Thomas Edison, which is the biggest liar in history, claimed like a lot of these inventions. He was basically just stealing people's inventions, stealing people's ideas, stuff that's been here. Electricity had been here. There's signs on the walls of ancient Egypt that they had electricity. It's like, but the thing is, when you when you defeat a people and you become a conqueror, you have the power to tell a story. So it's like, okay, now you diminish anything that happened here, and now it becomes the great white savior, and that's what they did. Um, and everybody can learn from this. Even white people, like, you don't have to stick with that legacy. You can change your legacy. You can change the direction of that legacy, and some people on it. We got a lot more now than we probably ever had since colonialism, started. But it's still, we still being used by a lot of these white groups. Um, Still, racism is just so prevalent, and nowadays it's kind of getting the back burner into battles about sex, and all this other stuff, which you know that is a fight. You know what I'm saying? It is a fight. Like, if you feel it's a fight, about who you want to love, you know what I'm saying, or anything. But when you put when you put another fight on the back burner for that, like literally the biggest fight in world history, for black people to break free from this racism, man, and this in spirituality. Well, let's go back to they started letting Africans practice Christianity, and this is after we get to the United States, but they would only teach it to Africans, and once they taught it to them, it was basically like it would be certain verses that got emphasis, like slaves obey your masters, stuff like that, little stuff like that to keep them submissive. But some of them did that, some of them still feel like they didn't have a soul, so they would just do whatever, like. And it was the Christians that was beating them, killing them, raping them, slaughtering them. Is like at that point they didn't care. They felt like because they didn't have a soul, that they were allowed to do that, through this faith, through this connection with God and Jesus Christ that will forgive them for anything that they did as long as they come and repent. But over time, I say this, like, you pit 100 people from a race of people that hate another people and 100 people from another one, and you make them live by each other. Eventually, some of them people gonna start loving each other. Some of them people gonna get along with each other. Like, it's gonna, like, that's just human nature. You know what I'm saying? That's our nature to connect with people. You know what I'm saying? When we get against once we fight against some of these crazy philosophies that's been ingrained in us, like that's why you have so many, slave owners' kids falling in love with the enslaved people's kids, and having to fight their own people to go through that and stuff like that. It's just, so when they kept having these black people in the church, eventually some of these people became softer to these people. So the church was basically the first integrated place. There was actually like black people as deacons, and they were able to preach in some of these churches before they could do anything anywhere else in the country. Like, everybody wasn't on, they would still face death and all this from other, Europeans that didn't agree with it. But eventually it got to the point where, black worship became a big thing, because they would take parts of Christianity and they would blend it with African spirituality. Like, if you go to church nowadays, you literally are in the African spirituality thing going on. Even with like Europeans, they took like these forms because it was exciting. Just think about it. Like, a black church, you going in there, you got people dancing, speaking in tongues, and it's like a magic show. It's like a wizard show, you know what I'm saying? Like, people predicting, you know what I'm saying, speaking life into you, and all this other stuff. That's African spiritualism. Speaking in tongues, that's African spiritualism. That's not, that's something that was ingrained in there, speaking to tongues of angels, but that's African spiritualism. Tongues of angels, all that spirit talks, spirit walks, that's African spiritualism. American, ancient American spiritualism. Catching the Holy Ghost, that's basically being possessed. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's That's African spiritualism, you know, calling on the spirits to come into you and give you a type of power. That's African spiritualism. You know what I'm saying? The songs, the songs being in the trance. That's why we sing songs so long. Like it comes from putting people in a trance where you can get in tune more spiritually. You know, you are tuning in your vibe. You know what I'm saying? You jamming. Like it's the same in the club. Like if you in a club dancing for hours, the whole club y'all is in the trance. You usually in the trance. People is like, it's like you're doing the ritual. You know what I'm saying? Like y'all vibing with each other's spirits for real. It's the same. Like it's African spirituality. Even baptism, water baptism. That's an African spirituality thing. You know what I'm saying? The worship of water. You know what I'm saying? Cleansing your spirit through water. You know what I'm saying? Water being a spirit, just like African spirituality. Man, I just. But the thing is, like, even today, it's like people want the stuff that the ancients brought. You know, the people of the land brought. They don't want the people of the land. People want black culture, but they don't want black people. People want hip hop, which is another one of our religions, which is another one of our rituals. People want the hip hop, but they don't want the hip hoppers. They don't want the black people, man. And it's like we have to realize that, like, even in the spiritual world, like as far as searching for like teachers, mentors, other people to connect with, it's very hard to find another black person that's deep in like spirituality. Like a lot of us are, but we just don't. We're not kind of tuned in with it. Like a lot of us, we make a book our totem. You know what I'm saying? Our totem item. I'm saying your totem item is like what you use to kind of put your energy in, like you know what I'm saying, to channel your energy. And a lot of us use the Bible and stuff like for that, or the Quran, you know what I'm saying, or just any of these like religious books. And I don't think there's nothing wrong with that being a start, but I think if you stick with that, you kind of limit yourself because history is still happening. God or the universe, you know what I'm saying, the ancestors, they still working. Like it's still going. Like the story didn't stop 2,000 years ago. The story didn't stop, you know what I'm saying, 1,000 years ago. The story didn't stop 1,000,000 years ago. The story is still being written. It's still going on right now. We going through some of the same stuff they going in there, like violence at a crazy level that just, you know what I'm saying, like don't underestimate your life, you know what I'm saying, what you're living right now, and just put everything into a book from 2, 3, 4, 5,000 years ago. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like you have to reach out with like nature, see how you can reach in with God. You know what I'm saying? Because if you ain't reaching in with God, all them books and all that, them teachings don't mean nothing. And like I say, it was hard to find anybody black, you know what I'm saying, as far as like the deep spiritual stuff, having spiritual resources, you know what I'm saying, like. And I've definitely found a whole bunch of people throughout the city and people online and all that, but it was hard to find them. You know what I'm saying? Like it literally took like some spirit walks and like, you know what I'm saying, some vibe and to kind of catch them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and like most of the people I were catching spiritually, I can't lie, they were white. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of people that knew about the resources of spirituality, they were white. You know what I'm saying? Like when it came to like digging to my own people, all I could get was pretty much was religion. You know what I'm saying? And I was already done with religion at that point. You know, if anybody don't know, I was an ordained minister, and but I've always been a studier, so I studied and it led me past like Christianity, you know what I'm saying? Like to expand into more knowledge, expand into the Quran, expand into the teachings of Buddha, uh, expand just into knowledge, man. Just like, not looking at any knowledge as bad or good. It's just knowledge. Do with it what you gonna do with it. We talk about America, like a lot of us didn't come on no boats. Don't believe the hype. They did not have the technology to bring this many black people over here. Like they did not. Don't let them lie to you. Black people were here. Black people are indigenous to America and Africa. Some of our people have never left this land. Some of our people have a real deep rooted connection to this land. Other parts of our people that are real deep rooted in Africa, like, but it's still the same connection. At one point it was one piece of land. You know what I'm saying? Over the years it broke apart, and they had a bridge of land, but like they were the same people, man. Christopher Columbus. If you paying attention to his writings, when he came here, he went to South America, Haiti and all that. He seen black people. He seen black people. Not you know what I'm saying, nothing against the other, natives, the other indigenous people, that kind of come more from the Oriental background, but like I said, America was a very diverse place. They didn't kill off all of the indigenous people. They just made you believe that you came here on a boat. They took your faith, they took your beliefs, they took your clothing, your spiritual clothing, they took everything from you. And now you look at other people as indigenous people instead of digging into your own indigenous roots, which many of us do know from our grandparents and some of the stories they had, but a lot of them went through a lot of trauma, so a lot of them don't speak some of them stories to us. I mean, the racism and spiritualism is so crazy, but they know that the black people, the Africans, the indigenous Americans, they created all these religions. So they felt like black people had like this spiritual power inside of them, and they would literally like eat black people. Like they would literally like cut their skin, wear their skin, and there was a point in like Europe where they would make sure they would come in and rub on a black child's head for good luck, or would have like a black person sitting as their footstool, for good luck. It's so crazy the stuff we can go into about that. But like I say, our people, they continue to worship in the corners of the world, and even though they lightened a lot of the faces and all that on the walls of Egypt and the walls here, we still know the deal that like our people have continued to use this spirituality, and is making a revival. It's making a revival because we have other ways to connect with each other. When you have people when you open the level of communication, you can't kill stuff, like, because they just gonna speak it to the next person, and it survives, and we survive. Like that's where I'm still learning as I go right now that it's a survival thing, and we have to keep our spirituality alive. We can't keep narrowing it down to a book or like a religious faith or stuff like that. Like you can use that for your balance, what I'm saying, for your base, but don't use that to kill other spirituality. Like, it just never works out right. And then like, after that, we get the development of African American religion, which is what I say is hip hop, jazz, that what we call that black swag, what I'm saying, that black flavor. That's a religion, man. That's a faith that we created here. You know what I'm saying? It's a mixture of like, our old African roots. It's a mixture of the roots here in America, and it's blended with what we've been taught through the religions that have been put on us, what we were able to interpret out of that. That's where we have our faith systems now. Like I say, in almost any church you go to right now practices a form of black religion. Like even the Catholic churches, they practice a form of black religion. They literally use like the same robes and stuff that they used in Egypt. That is is representative of what they wore in Egypt. What the Moors wore. Like it's literally like it's literally copycat. Like, you know, and copycat ain't always wrong or right. But you know what I'm saying, if you use it for evil, it's like, you miss the purpose of it. But yes, like the churches, any church you walk in right now is an African American religion. It don't matter what race is in there. Like once you leave like America, church is completely different. Like, some of it is a little closer to like, the African roots, or you know what I'm saying, the ancient American roots, but the African American influence in, churches, this hip hop, the culture here, it's undeniable. It's undeniable. It's a faith system, but they kind of knocking us out of the system because it's not black faces on it anymore, uh, which is crazy. All these forms of Christianity, even when you go into the Dinker symbols, and there's even been studies that those are like codes, you know what I'm saying, like ancient codes that open up crazy knowledge. And it's just we've been disconnected from all this through racism, through the America being colonized. It doesn't mean we can't get back there. Doesn't mean that we can't connect back with nature, because we know it. We people of nature, man. Like we know agriculture and the industrial industries pretty much destroyed everything and got us breathing bad air, drinking bad water, eating poison foods, and just everything's become so artificial. The only way back is to try to find your way to natural. I know they put chemicals in the fruits and veggies. People tell me all the time, when I tell them I don't eat meat. People tell me, hey, every bad thing they become scientists instantly, like, oh man, they be putting this and this and that. But they just ate the ass of a pig, like, I don't mean to offend nobody, but like common sense. You talking about fruits and you eating the ass of a pig, like nah. And right, and like you say, it's people, and that's where you have to watch people, because now it's a thing where people get a dress code. You know what I'm saying? They dress up and they pretty much acting like they spiritual, but it's like they spreading some bad, evil vibes. And we know it through church, and we know it through the pastors a lot. Like everybody know about the pastor with the big Cadillac or the big Lexus, or while the church building falling apart, and the people in the church suffering spiritually, and I think that's in a lot of like American religions, like buildings tumbling down to like nobody's really getting into the important parts of the ritual sometimes. And some people are, but it really is. And it's like you said, African American religion is a slave religion. And I do consider it a slave religion, like enslaved person religion. But it's also a lot of power in them enslaved people, like, because they were able to interpret the spirituality of these Europeans, and they were able to create it into something valuable, valuable to the spirit. Because like, even though Christianity brought us into like religion brought us into slavery, it was African American religion that got us out of slavery for real. Like, they made people feel, they made these people feel, they made these people know that we human. Like, and Martin Luther King, he's like one of the greatest of out the Christian faith. To me, like, he's one of those, like, if you consider anybody a prophet, he would be a prophet. He stood up, man. He made them people feel sorry for the evil shit they was doing, like, and he used their own technology. Remember, I said like television was a German technology that they used to spread their word, but television was also the technology Martin Luther King used to spread the message that they doing black people horrible. Like, people don't know, like that famous video of Martin Luther King getting sprayed when all the people getting sprayed by the hoses and them beating on Martin, you know, taking him to jail. That was the biggest television show in history. That was like the biggest showing in history at that time. That was like that was literally like how people look at the Avengers now. The Avengers like the biggest movies in the world. They were nowhere near like that. This was a new technology, and they were just starting to create TV stars and stuff like that and spread it into like more homes. And Martin Luther King knew that, and he knew that if he got in front of TV and showed people like what was going on, that everybody couldn't live with that. You know, a lot of white people live with it, but all of them couldn't live with it. Like, you know, especially the people that were digging into these Christian faiths, which, like I said, were starting to become more African American religions, which was more about love, you know what I'm saying, and the vibrations. You know, it started to become more of that. That's why even nowadays you got more like Christians that are kind of like can jug with like spirituality and all that. You know, where back in the day it's like they condemn you, you know, but like it's a process of growing, you know, and I think I really do think like African American, the enslaved religion is like probably one of the most powerful forces out here, you know. Only thing is a lot of people using it for horrible things, you know. They're using it to get rich, but it's like it's so much power in it, you know what I'm saying? It's you can literally African American religion can make a person walk in the fire for real. And it's like you have to know how to use it for the greater instead of the lesser, you know. And man, but they did it so dirty. But it's like our people still made something good out of it, you know. Because I ain't gonna lie, my path into spirituality started with Christianity. You know, I know it started with like other stuff throughout my life, but that was my step into, you know, like, okay, I really need to know what's going on with my soul, my spirit, you know, and I think like those religious books, they're a starting point, you know, for people. But it's like you got to get your face out the books and you got to get out here in nature. You got to live your religion. You got to live your faith system. You know, you got to kind of prove it. You know, you got to kind of prove it to yourself. Like if it don't make no sense to you and you just following it because your parents did, like you cheating yourself. You really are cheating yourself. You have to prove it to yourself that this is doing good. Like, is it really changing my life, or is it just, am I just tricking myself? Am I just doing motivational speaking to myself? Am I just like speaking motivation to myself? Which speaking motivation to yourself, it helps, but like, is it really changing things around me? You know what I'm saying? Is it really changing things in my life? Is it really changing people around me? You know, or am I just pestering people? I mean, be honest with yourself, you know, because a lot of religious people are some pestering ass people. Like, I mean, just to be honest, like, you know, we all know the people who judge you as soon as you walk in. We all know the people that just sow so much hate with their use their faith as a weapon to like whip people with, you know, use it to beat a person into submission. Like, we all know those people, man. Like that's the wrong way to use religion. Religion is supposed to be like a format, like when you drawing an essay and you're doing your outline. You know what I'm saying? Then you fill in the spaces in that outline, and you got your essay. You know what I'm saying? That's what them books is, man. That it's giving you somebody else's experience of their encounter with God. You know what I'm saying? Their encounter with the universe. You still gotta encounter him. You still gotta encounter God. You still gotta encounter the universe. You can't rely on that book to encounter you know what's out here. You gotta go show some empathy. You gotta go look at what's going on. You gotta understand what's going on right now. What happened 2,000 years ago can't help you right now. It's a whole different age. You know what I'm saying? It can give you, like I say, it can give you outlines, but it can't help you for the spiritual age right now. We are in the spiritual age right now. We have to create the writings for right now. We can't just be like, okay, the universe stopped speaking 2,000 years ago. That don't make no sense. You have to like continue to build on that, and like you do have to know like your history. You do have to know your past, you know, and that way you ain't repeating the same stuff that they did before. You have to know that, you know, but you have to also know that, you know, we're in a different age, different technology, different access to belief, you know what I'm saying? Different access to nature. We don't have as much access to nature. You know what I'm saying? Like, is different aspects that change that, you know. So we have to learn how to live in it now. You know, we can't. It's hard to go to a priest now. It's hard to go to a ancient ceremony that you digging deep in the soul. You know, walking with spirits. That stuff you have to like go through some hell, like shamanism. Like, you know, my path into shamanism was hell. You know, I've been broken and injured for like the last 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like different injuries. As soon as I heal from that injury, I get something else broke or torn or something like that. Like, and it was a spiritual journey that made me sit my ass down, and I had to look eternally. And some of this stuff, like, you know, it was happening with the jobs to where like I'm not even getting paid and all this stuff. It's just like come on now. Like you got to go through pain to get where you need to be. You know what I'm saying? Like, so yeah, we've been on here like 56 minutes. We about to kick on out of here. I think it was a great show. And like I said, this is only part one, man. I got so much stuff on this subject. It's ridiculous. Uh, Recommendation: read this book, uh, "The African American Religious Experience in America." So deep. My brother Anthony, Professor Anthony Penn. He actually has a class with Bun B, with Professor Bun B from UGK, where they teach like the correlation of religion and hip hop and how hip hop is a religion. At Rice University in Houston, Texas. I actually believe they offer this course for free. Yeah, this is Bun B and Professor Anthony Penn, but this is his book. You know, the African American Religious Experience in America. An amazing read. I'm glad this book came into my life through you know, some elders and some raw people, man. And as always, man, vibe great. Like I said, we got a couple events coming up. Our psychedelic event, you know, our and I'm like, as I say psychedelic, that's code word to get like some of the spiritual folks, so to be prepared that we going deep spiritually. And you know, if you ain't digging deep into the spiritual stuff, it might be a little scary, like honestly. So stay tuned with that. Message me if you want to be a part of that. You know, we already got some people that hit me up. We keeping that very private to, you know, keep people privacy. There will be no phones, you know, no recording devices. We just kind of, you know, digging into some deep healing. It's gonna be an all-day event because you know we want to really dig into some healing, physical healing, metaphysical healing, spiritual, mentally, with some of the greatest healers in the land. You know, that's it. Peace. Smile for somebody.